Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's Rockmore Spucker at you with another Mutant Monday. I started so late, had to do a little bit of work on what we're actually going to be talking about. And today, we'll be talking about the Weapon Plus project. So, the Weapon Plus project is the origin of quite a few characters of the Marvel Universe, most notably Captain America, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Luke Cage. Those are really and Deadpool. Those are the big names. Real world stuff. Weapon Plus as a whole was introduced during Grant Morrison's new X-Men run, and they were a constant, basically become a constant adversary. And there will be some plot point about Weapon Plus here or there after a little while, after they first started talking about it. Now, however, for in-universe history, the Weapon Plus project was formed in the 1940s to address the so-called mutant problem by John Sublime, who was actually the host body of a sentient bacteria which is present in non-mutant organisms. There have been quite a few iterations of Weapon Plus over the years. So there's Weapon 01, which Project Rebirth. Of note, there were there were a few test subjects. Obviously, Captain America was Protocide, who was a failed experiment that would end up being used by AIM years later, and the Spider Queen, Adriana Storia. She was actually the first mutant Weapon Plus test subject, and she's actually much more of a Spider-Man villain than a Captain America or insert character here villain. Well, Captain America or Wolverine villain, because that's really. Anyways, so next up was Weapon 2, which was focused on animals, including a squirrel with Wolverine's adamantium skeleton, claws, intelligence, and healing factor, and also some of his mannerisms. It was also implied by Grant Morrison that the comic he did, We 3, focusing on three cybernetically weaponized animals, was also part of Weapon 2. But as it's not Marvel, technically speaking, that's not the case. Weapon 3 was known as the Skinless Man. The Skinless Man was a mutant with an elastic, multi-sensory skin. He would develop a grudge against Phantom X and kill Phantom X, and eventually work with Black Air and the Brotherhood. Black Air being a secret British intelligence agency, and by the Brotherhood, I'm talking about the Brotherhood of Mutants. Next up was Weapon 4. Weapon 4 used prisoners of ethnic minorities as test subjects. It was codenamed Sulfur, and it was also spearheaded by Ted Sallis, who, due to his research, would end up becoming Man-Thing. Weapon 5 was during the Vietnam War era. It was a combination of ethnic minority soldiers and pieces of a Clintar symbiote known as Grendel. Nick Fury and Wolverine ended up taking care of these soldiers during the war. And let's just say they went a little off. Also, Weapon 5 would later lead to the bonding of the Venom symbiote to Flash Thompson, leading to the creation of Agent Venom under the name Project Rebirth 2.0, which was later shut down by Captain America. Weapon 6 was led by Dr. Noah Bursi, and it results in the creation of Luke Cage. That's really the only noteworthy thing about it. Weapon 7 was known as Project Project Homegrown. This w- and it would result in the creation of Nuke, which would also have see Wolverine playing a part in in said creation. There were also experiments during this portion of the project with adamantium bonding, which led largely to the creation of Wolverine enemy Cyber. There was also a UK version, Black Budget, that created its own team of super soldiers called, well, the Super Soldiers. And finally, the Mercy Corporation, which broke off from S.H.I.E.L.D. and created their own super soldiers using a derivative of the original super soldier serum. Ah. Weapon 8, experimental on criminals and psychopaths. Weapon 9, unknown, though the code name was once given to Typhoid Mary at one point, during her involvement with one of the later iterations of the Weapon X program. Speaking of Weapon X, Weapon X, or Weapon 10. So, Weapon X has multiple iterations over the years, and we'll be going through them in order. The first iteration was operated through Canada's Department K and run by Professor Andre Thornton with Abraham Cornelius, Doctors Abraham Cornelius, Carol Hines, and Dale Rice working with him, with Sublime operating behind the scenes. Some of the test subjects included Wolverine, Sabretooth, Maverick, Silver Fox, John Wraith, and the Native. To name a few, there were actually quite a bunch. And in fact, the test subjects would have falsified memory implants. Yeah, the works. Plus memory erasure. Like I said, the works. The second iteration was headed up solely by Department K and led to the creation of Deadpool, Wild Child, as well as Typhoid Mary's Bloody Mary persona, amongst others. The third iteration was run by Malcolm Colcord, a former guard security operative in the first iteration, and was designed to monitor and eliminate mutants, going so far as to utilize a mutant death camp called Neverland. Both Mr. Sinister and Cable tried separately to save mutants from execution at Neverland. After M-Day, the prisoners at Neverland camp were both powered and non-powered were executed. And in fact, some of the bodies of the powered victims were sent off to Breakworld for their research on mutant cure. Then the fourth iteration, which was led by William Stryker, created various Hulkverines, most notably Weapon H. Finally, we have an offshoot that there was an offshoot between the first and second iteration, known as the Facility. The Facility was civilian run and most notably created X-23, Chimera, and Predator X. That's Weapon X. There was also a mutant strike team that was formed kind of as a response to the fourth iteration, which took the name Weapon X as well. It included Old Man Logan, Sabretooth, Warpath, Domino, Lady Deathstrike, I think that's it. Next up was Weapon 11, which nothing's really been done with Weapon 11, so yeah. Then we had Weapon 12, which was codenamed Huntsman, created in a facility known as The World via artificial evolution and nanosentinel tech. Huntsman would eventually be killed by Phantom X. Speaking of Phantom X, we have Weapon 13, Phantom X, who was also created in The World, and his powers are derived from nanosentinel tech, rebelled against Weapon Plus, and has become something of an ally of the X-Men over the years. And he actually has blessed with some odd powers, including a separate um, nervous system known as EVA, which he uses as a vehicle, as a means of transportation. Um, one way to put it is he has the power of misdirection. So, yeah, Phantom X has always been an odd one, and probably one of the best things that Grant Morrison that came out of Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men. Moving on to Weapon 14 was the Stepford that. Next up, we have Weapon 14, the Stepford Cuckoos. They're hive mind telepaths created from eggs stolen from Emma Frost's uterus while she was in a coma. While 5 of them were enrolled at the Xavier School, there are apparently thousands more that are in stasis chambers. And 2 of the 5 that were enrolled at Xavier's have since been killed. Next up is Weapon 15, Ultimaton. Ultimaton was designed to be the grand powerhouse for Sublime's Super Sentinels team, which was designed as a means of making mutant genocide more palatable to the masses. Huntsman was also intended to be a member of the Super Sentinels. Anyways, Ultimaton was followed up by Weapons 16, All God, or the living religion, the virus that causes those infected to worship the world. It was destroyed by Wolverine, Phantom X, and Kree expatriate Novar, and the world itself was also destroyed in the process. Next up was Weapon Infinity. Simply put, Deathlocks. Lots and lots of Deathlocks. Deathlocks being cyborgs, cybernetically augmented heroes, generally cybernetically augmented post-mortem. And as shown in the Wolverine Captain America Weapon Plus one-shot recently, there's Weapon 30, which does exist, though has not been fully seen. The project is being overseen by longtime Weapon Plus would-be test subject, Billy Younger. And that is it for the rundown of Weapon Plus. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to... next week's Mutant Monday will probably be looking back at my guesses, seeing how right I am on what's coming after House of X and Powers of X. And will probably actually be, after House of X and Powers of X come out, we'll probably be using Mutant Monday as a means of going in-depth into each issue. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I put up new content. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal are in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.